Well, hey there, good morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Chris. Well, hello there, everybody on YouTube. Again, welcome back to the Outdoors with Chris channel. Me and good old Pops back out on the AT this weekend, catching up a little bit what we got left of the Georgia section of the Appalachian Trail. So we made our way up through Atlanta yesterday and made it back to Blue Ridge Gap, where we had parked the car earlier in February this year and met up again with the illustrious Mr. John Bradshaw.
Cheers to Mr. John Bradshaw. We salute you, sir.
He was so kind as to give us a ride down off of Blue Ridge Gap and over here to Dix Creek Gap, the parking lot there. We had quite a time getting Dad's truck up there at Blue Ridge Gap. There's one little spot that was just rocky and loamy. I wish I would have pulled the phone out and got some footage of that, but we were too worried about trying to just make it up to Blue Ridge Gap. And for a second, we really didn't think we were gonna make it. Mr. John dropped us off at the parking lot last night. And we walked in about, probably about a quarter mile or a little bit better. And the first little tent site that shows on Gut Hook's map. And we pulled over here and set up camp and went on to sleep. And now we've woke up in our hammocks and having some coffee. Yeah, I've got some Pop-Tarts. What you eating over here this morning? He's eating some Arby's sandwiches. We stopped at Arby's on our way up yesterday. I had my sandwich last night for a late dinner. And I've got some, let's see, some s'mores Pop-Tarts for breakfast this morning. So probably gonna eat those up here in a minute. But right now, just enjoying watching the sky wake up. So hang on, and should be a pretty fun trip. We're hiking into North Carolina today. So that's the goal. Well, I got it saved on my computer too. Well, we're off. Back on the Appalachian Trail, headed north. I think there's some kind of gap we're coming up to. I forget what it is. I'll tell you when we get there. By then I'll have looked at the map again. But we just packed up camp, and literally like 3 minutes ago, walked out of camp. Just a nice little trailside campsite. Perfect for the two of us setting up our hammocks on either side of what would have been a campfire. We didn't worry ourselves with building one last night. Just got set up and started relaxing right off. We got a good solid 9 miles in front of us today, if we're gonna make it to Bly Gap and the state line. And I'm already getting winded. Should be fun. I'm glad you're here with us. We come to our first little trail obstruction here. We figured there'd be a little bit after that after Irma came through. Oh my God! There you go. That's good. That wasn't too crazy. Little mountain spring flowing out just before we got to that and coming down the side of the hill here. Imagine it might be some water down there. Oh, I found out. Cowart Gap or Cowart Gap. However it's pronounced. I'm going to go ahead and say it Cowart Gap because Cowart. Looks close enough to me. So we're headed our way down to it now. And just like that, we are at Cowart Gap. A little road bed that crosses over here. See there? And that way right there, and that way right there. Appalachian Trail. Onward we go, I reckon. Looks like we got our first casualty of the trip here. Uh-oh. That could have led to some blisters, you reckon? Oh, yeah. That's fine. We'll take this opportunity to stop and take a little break, refill my water on my belt. Plus, we just had a group of, I'm guessing Boy Scouts, huh? About, how many was there? 8?
I didn't count.
All said kids and adults.
About 10.
8 or 10. We could hear them way off coming on. We was sitting down at the gap. We assume must have been crossing over that log. Well, let them push on, get on ahead of us. That way we're not in their way. It worked out because it's easier for them to pass back there at that gap than it would have been headed up the trail.
Plus, I had a boy. Take care of that right now. Don't wait. Never wait.
Yeah, it's definitely something you don't want to wait on right there. We made it down to old Plum Orchard Gap. And we just stopped here by a little creek before you get to the shelter. Fill up on some water. All right, we're just leaving the shelter, having ourselves some lunch, taking a little bit of rest, taking use of the privy. So we're about, I think about a mile to a mile and a half from reaching Blue Ridge Gap where we've got the truck parked. And then from there, just about 3 more miles to Bly Gap, which is just past the state line, which is where we're gonna stay somewhere in that area tonight. That's the plan. So we should make it in pretty good time and be able to kind of lollygag around camp in the evening too. Probably get us a fire going and all that good stuff. Whew, that's a good little climb. So this is as a knob. Elevation about 3,400 feet. And it's not much for views, but it's here. So now we make our descent down to Blue Ridge Gap. That's where the truck's parked. And that's where we'll be hiking back to in the morning. Well, we made it to Blue Ridge Gap. Just caught sight of the truck down here. There must be some guys up here in some 4-wheel drives or something. We heard them looming over. Looks like they went on down the far side of the dirt road there. I'll flip you around as we walk out and see the truck. We're slowly but surely making our way up to Bly Gap. At Blue Ridge Gap, we sat on the tailgate of the truck and rested for a minute. Talked to a couple of folks who were headed out on the trail. A couple of guys were headed to Deep Gap in North Carolina. There are some ladies up hiking for one of their birthdays. They were going to Bly Gap and back. And then we come across those Boy Scouts we met earlier in the day and talked to them for a minute. They were headed back to stay at Plum Orchard Gap for the night. They were prepping up for a big outing in 2018. So good for them. We were making this, it's pretty steady ascent, mostly uphill. And a few little flat spots, but mostly uphill all the way to Bly Gap. We got a little section of rear down here for a moment. But it's been beautiful this afternoon. Temperature's holding good at around, last time I checked it was around 70 degrees. Yeah, right at about 70, 73 degrees. Supposed to get down into the 40s tonight. 46 was the forecast for the nearest town to here. And you know, being up at elevation, it could be a little cooler than that. Definitely enjoying the trip. We're not having to push extremely hard. It's not really crazy mileage, just about 8.6 miles today, because the campsite we stayed in was about 0.4 in from Dix Creek Gap. And then just about 3 miles in the morning, get back to the truck. And since we're doing mostly uphill in, it'll be mostly downhill on the way back out, so that'll be pleasant. So hopefully next time we talk, we'll be at the state line. Well, we've made it to a significant milestone. Whew, don't fall down now. This is where we were trying to go on the Appalachian misadventure. North Carolina. So
been shooting for that mark right there.
Since February.
We've been walking for the dash.
So we made it. So now just a little bit more and we'll be at Bly Gap and scope it out and see if we find a campsite. It'll be pretty sweet. Sleep in North Carolina for one night. So we just arrived at Bly Gap and in need of some water. So we hiked down and really couldn't find much. So I'm gonna show you a little trick and why, you know, some of your gear you carry can be dual purpose. Like myself, I carry a lot of freezer bags. That's what I cook all my food in. And so they can come in real handy when you're trying to get up water from a very limited water source. This is our water source. So what I've done is I took my spade here and dug me out a little spot where I can get some fresh running water right there. So I just hold that Ziploc there and let it fill up. Then I'll pour it from the Ziploc into my Sawyer, and then from the Sawyer into my water bottle. So in a few seconds I'll have just about enough to fill up that Sawyer bag. I filter it out. So that's how you use a Ziploc bag to help procure some water. And in case you get some sediment, you just stop pouring before you get all the way to the bottom, and that'll help let some of the sediment stay in the bottom there. Oh, we finally made it up that hill from the from getting that water. Man, we didn't realize we went down it quite that far. Anyways, camp, as you can see, is set up, and we'll see. I may flip the tarp over. Last night I didn't even flip it over. My dad's already hunkered down, taking a little bit of a rest over here. Y'all comfy in here, Ian?
Man, I'm perfect. Wrap me up, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Like the sun's just about to crest over the mountain over here.
Rest of my legs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lay back down myself. I'll tell you, ain't nothing quite like eating dinner to a view like this. Staring off at the mountains and the sun setting and the wind blowing. It's done cooled down. I put on my long johns. So it's supposed to get down in the upper mid 40s. Definitely gonna be some good hammock sleeping. You've already been kind of lollygagging minutes as it is. Just eating some ramen tonight. 2 of those packs of cupo noodles or whatever. Some Spam mixed in. Same thing I had in that video where I was setting up the hammock in the backyard after we did our hike in February. Well, North Carolina has sure been beautiful for the 12, 13, 14 hours we stayed in it. But camp is all packed up and we are headed back south to Blue Ridge Gap. Grab the truck and head back home. On beautiful 2 nights out here for sure. And I woke up this morning, I think my thermometer said about somewhere between 45 and 48 degrees. It's about close to halfway between 40 and 50. Definitely a beautiful, cool night up here at Bly Gap. I much wish we could stay another night, but life calls. You gotta get back to your families and jobs and all that fun. Once again, we are at the state line. Beautiful morning, isn't it?
Morning. Very beautiful.
Breezy. Yeah, I'm back in Georgia.
Right.
I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Georgia. Aren't you in both of them?
I'm standing in Georgia right now. It's interesting how that tree has started to grow over that pipe.
Yeah. Definitely very cool. Made it. Woohoo. Well, we made it the 3 miles back to the truck. Kind of didn't really realize how much uphill we did yesterday till we were coming back and realized, man, it was pretty much all downhill. So we kept a pretty steady clip. I forgot to really check what time we left. Do you remember? But it didn't take long, maybe an hour, hour and a half to hit that 3 miles. So we were doing at least 30 minutes a mile or better, just because of the downhill helping. But now it's time to pack up, head back to civilization. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about the video. And if you haven't done it, get your feet on some dirt and have yourself a good hike. think we're gonna go find ourselves a bite to eat now. Cheeseburger time!